So a couple years ago, I took my family to this water park, this indoor water park in Wisconsin. It was awesome. Part of the deal in staying there was we had to go sit through this timeshare presentation. Many of you have probably done that. It's like one of the worst experiences of my life. They're like just taking forever. You know, they tell us it'll be 45 minutes. We're 2.5 hours in. I've got 5 hungry children. No one seriously wants to sit in there, listen to this thing. And like, not only am I frustrated, but I'm also sitting looking at sort of the framework of this presentation, because that's what I do in business, right? And I'm looking at it and I'm like, when are they ever just gonna ask me if I'm interested? So instead of them asking me, I just tell them like, I'm not interested. Here's where I'm at. And it made me think like in a business presentation, there comes a point where there's this power in the ask, but not just in doing it, number one, but number two is how you ask for the sale. So today I want to break that down for you, help you in your business as you get to this power of the ask. So at some point you've done a presentation, right? The purpose of today is not to talk about how you present, but when you get to the point of your presentation that you need to ask for the business, and this is crucial, too often we take way too long to get to the ask. Most people are in front of you, or they're in your store, or they're on your website because they're looking for the product or service you have. So too often we just sell, present, and we're not getting to the ask. So one of the simplest ways to get to the ask is after I've done my presentation, after I've at least understood somewhat of what they're looking for and I've presented my product or service, I simply have a phrase that I go to every time. And if you don't, you're gonna make it up and wing it. And that is such a bad thing to do in business and in a sales presentation. So for me, it's something as simple as this. Have you seen enough to make a decision? Are you ready to make a decision today? That's simple. Have you seen enough? Or are you ready to make a decision today? The reason why I ask, have you seen enough or have I shown you enough to make a decision today is because it's a yes or no. If they say yes, then great, I just need you to sign here, or I need, do you want to put that on American Express, Visa, or MasterCard? Like that then becomes my second ask. That's how I close, right? The ask is, have you seen enough to make a decision today? The close is Visa, MasterCard, or American Express, or do you want to pay by check? It's that simple. And the reason is because over time I learned that if I didn't do something as simple as that and have the same ask every time, I was winging it. And there was a point in my business where, in a previous business, where I had achieved a level of success that I sort of got away from asking those simple questions, and I started to notice my sales went down. So there's the power in the ask. Now, once you've made that statement, this is the second piece, which is the hardest for any salesperson to do. Shut up. Just zip it. Shut your mouth. Be quiet. Don't say a word. Don't speak. Ask them, have you seen enough to make a decision today? Let the silence linger. Like you have to let them answer. I see this too many times. I can take you back to several presentations I've been in as a customer where they, like, first of all, I'm literally waiting for them to ask. I remember when my wife and I first got married, we went to this thing that we were given this opportunity to go, again, to a presentation, and we're gonna get this whole dishware set, like all this really nice china and all this kind of thing that somebody had gifted to us. But of course, then they're trying to upsell us to something. And so they sit through this presentation about these knives and all this stuff. I remember I'm like 10 minutes into it. I'm like, we obviously know what you're selling. Would you just ask? Like in my mind, that's what I'm thinking. And he just will not. Finally, he gets there. And again, I'm really young. I haven't had any sales training yet, but I'm already knowing this as a customer. And finally, he goes to ask, and he asks, and then he just keeps talking. And he asks, and he keeps talking. And I remember at like 25, 30 minutes into this, something like that, I finally just said, we have to go. We have no more time we can be here. And he never got the sale because he never allowed us to answer. Guys, don't make that mistake. Don't make that mistake when you're selling. Ask the question and be quiet. When I was selling real estate years ago, I would train real estate agents on my team. When you make the ask, just linger in that silence, because what will happen is they're either gonna say, yes, I'm ready, or no, and they're gonna give you an objection. Or they're gonna say no, and you're gonna ask, what more can I share with you? What more can I show you? And they may say nothing. This is where now you resolve concerns. This may feel like a rejection, and it's not. In another video, I'll talk to you about why rejection is okay and actually required in business, but this is not a rejection. This is just simply they're saying no. Now you've got to identify and isolate what the concern is. And that's another power of an ask. So Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, can I ask you a question? Is it me, or is there something more I can show you that would help you make a decision right now to get our product or our service or whatever? And now they're gonna give you an objection. And just as a little bonus content, when you get that objection, just smile and agree. For example, they'll say, hey, that's a lot of money, right? Or have you seen enough to make a decision? Yes, I've seen enough. Great. Now you go for the close. Now they still might throw you an objection. Yes, but it's too much money. Oh, I agree. It's a lot of money. You always smile and agree to the concern, which we'll talk about in other videos about how you overcome and isolate this objection. But don't get shook right here just because you asked and they threw you an objection. Just because they threw an objection, don't let it shake you. Just smile and continue to go through, because now you're going to get into another ask. You're going to ask about the objection. You're going to continue to ask, and you're always going to circle back. One thing that I do in this ask for the close is I'll typically do it somewhere between 3 to 5 times before I'm going to move to another appointment. And sometimes that is my final ask is, hey, can we come back in 2 days and 48 hours, no more than that, and talk more about this after you've had time to think about it or whatever it is. The power of the ask is key in a presentation. It's important that you do ask. And number 2, it's important that you're quiet after you ask. Think about ask and you shall receive. Like these are principled foundation things that are so important. And in business, it's like so many business owners, they get to this stage and all of a sudden, like inherently their anxiety goes up. Like their physical being sometimes changes. They're so nervous about this ask. And they are because they haven't dialed in how simple it is to ask. When I'm training people around, it doesn't have to be the phrase that I use, but I ask them, come up with a phrase that dials in a yes or no for them to move forward. It's gotta be that, yes or no, and that you can default to every single time. And it becomes like muscle memory. You can't make it up as you go. It's gotta be there every single time. So come up with your phrase. What is it? What is the way you decide to ask for the business? Hey, have you seen enough to make a decision? Hey, have I shown you enough to help you make a decision today? Just that simple to get to that stage of your business close. Look, if you do this, I know you'll find that you'll have more confidence, and confidence will give you clarity in your business. So get your phrase, get your power of your ask down so you have the confidence to close the amount of business you need to. Look, if you found this helpful, go ahead, like and subscribe to our channel. Share this with somebody in business. They might find it valuable. They might be struggling right now with how to ask for the business, and this could be that tip or that strategy and that tactic to help them close more business.